There are two types of people in this world: those who introduce themselves, and those whose name is already on the table before they walk in. A lot of people believe that the loudest voice wins, that whoever can post more, sell harder, or get seen first somehow earns more power. But power isn't about noise, it's about presence, the kind that doesn't ask for attention, because it already owns the room. Welcome back to our channel, and welcome to a story that barely needed a narrator. Today, we're breaking down Lionel Messi, the only footballer who controlled the global narrative by barely saying anything at all. If you followed our Mindset series before, you already know this isn't going to be another motivational work harder story. We don't do fluff here. What we do is look closely at the people who move the world without screaming and figure out how they do it. We're not talking about his goals. We're talking about how he built a legacy using restraint, routine, and ruthless focus, and what we can learn from someone who never begged to be seen, but ended up being the only one worth watching. Lionel Andres Messi was born in Rosario, Argentina. He had a hormone deficiency by age 11. Doctors told him he wouldn't grow. Not metaphorically, literally. His body didn't produce the chemicals needed to reach normal height. And while other kids were eating cereal and playing street football, he was injecting growth hormones into his legs every night before bed. Nothing about his life was designed for greatness, but he still made it happen. He wasn't handed the tools, he built them, and then sharpened them. In silence. At 13, Barcelona offered him a shot on a napkin. The deal wasn't glamorous. It was practical. Come here, we'll cover your treatment. You give us everything else. So he left home. Left family. Left everything familiar. Moved to a new country. New culture. New pressure. And he didn't act like the chosen one. He acted like a kid who knew he had to earn his stay every single day. So he trained, and when training ended, he stayed longer. Not for clout, not for bragging, but because repetition became his religion. His rise wasn't sudden. It was stacked, day by day, year by year. No flash. Just habits. It's easy to admire his control on the ball, but the real control was internal. He knew when to rest, when to isolate, when to disappear. Not to ghost people, but to protect the version of himself the world would eventually meet. When he started playing for Barra's senior team, the world noticed the left foot. But what really made people obsessed was how unbothered he looked doing things that should have been impossible. He wasn't chasing applause. He didn't perform for cameras. He didn't even celebrate like he was supposed to. He just nodded, jogged back to midfield, and did it again. By the time people realized they were witnessing one of the greatest athletes of all time, he'd already been that guy for years. He didn't need to say it. Everyone else did that for him. But of course, all his greatness couldn't be possible without his big failures. The World Cup loss in 2014, 3 Copa America defeats, the infamous tax case in 2016. And yet, his influence didn't fade. Not because the losses didn't matter, but because they didn't define him. He returned to training. He scored more. He stayed consistent when the headlines weren't kind. He didn't explain. He executed. That's what separates icons from trends. You can survive mistakes if your foundation is built correctly. And Messi's foundation wasn't built on approval. It was built on repetition, endurance, and emotional regulation. Look at how he handled his departure from Barcelona. The club that raised him cut ties because of financial drama. He cried at the press conference, said goodbye, and walked into PSG the following week like it was business. No anger, no drama. He played, adjusted, kept scoring, and when he finally won the World Cup at 35, he didn't shout. He didn't drop quotes for the internet to screenshot. He just held the trophy. Stood still. And somehow, that stillness said more than any speech could have. Of course, he dropped some dope pictures on his IG page, like hugging and sleeping with the trophy, but it was more kinda he's cute moment than he's showing off. As we already saw, Messi doesn't need to be everywhere. He doesn't need to tweet. He doesn't need to post 3 times a day. When you've delivered for decades, you become the conversation. And when you're the conversation, silence becomes a strategy. A lot of people think they need to change their personality to be seen. Get louder, show off more, exaggerate for clicks. Messi proved something different. He proved that focus can be louder than ego. That consistency outlasts charisma. And that being excellent is more sustainable than being viral. What he built didn't require a personal brand. He didn't have to sell a lifestyle. He just protected his peace and made sure he never stopped improving. You'll never hear him say, "I'm the best," but you'll hear generations of players admit he's the reason they picked up a ball. He didn't market influence. He earned it. And the irony? He became the most followed athlete on the planet by never asking for a follow. Influence is a weird thing. Most people chase it by trying to fit what the world wants, but the ones who actually earn it build what the world needs. Messi didn't pretend to be anything. He just refined who he already was. And that's why it works. He's not perfect, but he's consistent. And in the long game, that's what lasts. He's not dramatic, but he's dangerous because you'll never see him coming. By the time defenders realize it, he's already behind them. It's tempting to think you need to be louder to matter, but the truth is you need to be better, not in a showy way, in a reliable way. Messi was never hot right now, he was always essential, and that's a better position to be in. So what can you learn from all this? Protect your time. Reduce your need to explain yourself. Know your craft well enough to let it represent you. Focus less on making people believe in you, and more on making your results impossible to ignore. Don't chase applause. Build something that makes the room go quiet when you walk in. Messi didn't become famous by doing what everyone else did. He became legendary by doing what no one else had the discipline to keep doing for 20 straight years. No shortcuts, no reinventions, no gimmicks. He built power the long way. And now, he can play the game however he wants on or off the pitch. This is what becoming the conversation looks like. It's not just about being known, it's about being trusted. And when people trust your work more than your words, that's influence. That's it for today. I hope you don't just admire Messi. I hope you pay attention to what made him powerful. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people who know how to deliver in silence. See you in the next one. Until then, protect your energy, sharpen your focus, and as always, stay you.